His name was Nolan Wells. He was 18 years old. He went to an island to celebrate the 4th of July with friends, and he never came home. That alone would be enough to make this story worth telling. But what has emerged in the days since his body was found, the GPS data, the Coast Guard audio, the phone that was never turned over, the witness nobody talked about, and a grand jury that has now been called, transforms this from a tragedy into one of the most layered and troubling cases to surface out of Mississippi in years. What you are about to hear is not what went viral. It is what is verified, and those are two very different things. If you are new here, this is unrivaled true crime, where every story is built on documented fact, not speculation. Hit subscribe now so you do not miss a single verified update as this case continues to develop. Horn Island sits off the coast of Mississippi in the Gulf Islands National Seashore. It is a barrier island, remote, accessible only by boat, no permanent structures, no infrastructure. For locals, it is a familiar destination for summer outings. On the 4th of July, it draws crowds celebrating the holiday on the water. That is where Nolan Wells was on July 4th, 2025. He traveled to the island with a group of friends. They spent the day there together. And at some point in the afternoon, those friends got back on their boat. Nolan did not go with them. His mother reported him missing later that night. A search involving the Coast Guard, the Department of Marine Resources, and the National Park Service launched the following day. On July 6th, a National Park Service ranger found his body in the water just off the island's northwestern tip. What followed was not just grief. It was confusion, contradiction, viral misinformation, and a set of verified facts that have never fully received the attention they deserve. Start with the identification. The Jackson County coroner did not identify Nolan Wells through a visual inspection. His family did not make the identification either. The coroner confirmed his identity through dental records. That is a procedure reserved for cases where standard identification is not possible, where the condition of the body prevents the usual methods from being used. That detail was reported early. It was largely passed over in the rush to focus on theories circulating online. But it matters. It is part of the official record, and it raises questions that the viral conversation never paused long enough to ask. Then there is the Coast Guard call. According to Capital B News, a friend of Nolan's contacted the Coast Guard around 11 o'clock on the night of July 4th. NBC News later obtained audio of that call through an official public records request. On the recording, Nolan's friends call for towing assistance. The boat had malfunctioned. The Coast Guard operator asked a direct question, whether everyone on board was in good health. The response was that yes, everyone was together and accounted for. But Nolan was not with them. He had been left on the island. The Jackson County Sheriff's Office did not request Coast Guard assistance until around noon the following day. A formal, coordinated search did not begin until then. That means there was a gap of approximately 13 hours between the first known call to the Coast Guard on the night of July 4th and the launch of an organized search effort the next afternoon. Why was Nolan not reported missing during an emergency call placed that night? Why did the response from his friends indicate everyone was together when he was not on that boat? Those questions do not have public answers yet, but they exist in the official record, captured in audio obtained through a legitimate records request by a national news outlet. CBS News obtained something else. Through a Mississippi Department of Marine Resources report, CBS News reported GPS tracking data from the M-Stamer system that documented exactly where the boat went after leaving the island. The data shows the vessel arrived at the Fort Bayou boat launch at 7:19 in the evening on July 4th. From there, according to the MDMR report, the boat traveled over land, described as presumably being towed by a vehicle, to the Biloxi residence belonging to the boat's owners. The M-Stamer report ends on July 5th, when the Jackson County Sheriff's Office assumed lead investigative authority. That is not a theory. That is GPS data from a state agency, documented in an official report and reported by a major national news outlet. It provides a verified physical record of the boat's movements on the evening that Nolan Wells was left on that island. And then there is the phone. Nolan's mother confirmed that when her son was reported missing, his phone was in the possession of one of his friends, a friend who initially told her he had no idea where Nolan was. She later alleged that when she recovered the device, content she would have expected to find was simply not there. Specifically, she referenced Snapchat activity. That allegation regarding missing content has not been independently verified. But two facts are not in dispute. The phone was in a friend's possession. That friend initially denied any knowledge of Nolan's whereabouts while holding it. Benjamin Crump, the family's lead attorney, confirmed to ABC News that the phone represents a key piece of evidence in this case. He described its possession by Nolan's friends as suspicious. He confirmed the family had retrieved it. He said he believed what was on the device mattered. But as of July 13th, the date ABC News published its report, the phone had not been turned over to the Jackson County Sheriff's Office. Sheriff Ledbetter confirmed that directly to the outlet. Crump's stated position was that the family intended to transfer the device only after completing their own independent review, a legal right retained by families who engage private attorneys for parallel investigations. The practical consequence, however, was that the piece of physical evidence the family's own attorney called significant was not in the hands of the people running the official investigation. That changed, at least in part, on July 15th. At a press conference following a meeting between Nolan's parents and the Jackson County District Attorney, the family's legal team confirmed that both sides had agreed to a joint inspection of the phone, Crump's experts and law enforcement reviewing the same evidence simultaneously. Whether that review has produced answers has not yet been reported. Now there is someone this case almost forgot entirely. Her name is Katie. Until recently, no one covering this story had said that name publicly. She was on Horn Island on July 4th. She was the last person to speak with Nolan before he disappeared. And her account, as relayed publicly by her sister Gracie McCormack, does not align with what Nolan's friends have told the world. According to her family's public statements, Nolan's friends were pressuring him to end his conversation with Katie so he could return with them to the boat. Katie's understanding, in those final moments, was that Nolan was heading toward the boat after they parted ways. She got home safely that day on a separate vessel. She did not witness what happened after they last spoke. That account places Nolan in motion toward the boat, not choosing to stay behind voluntarily. The friend's version places him deliberately remaining on the island. These two accounts cannot both be true, and the person closest to the last known moments of Nolan's life has not yet spoken in any official public capacity beyond what her family shared. Katie is not a rumor. Katie's sister came forward publicly, and what her family is describing is a material contradiction of the narrative that Nolan's friends offered to the world. Before going further, if this level of documented detail is what you look for in true crime coverage, this is the channel for you. Subscribe to Unrivaled True Crime and leave a like on this video. It helps make sure this story reaches the people who need the accurate version. Now it is necessary to address what dominated the conversation online, and why it no longer holds up. In the days after Nolan's body was found, a Facebook post from an account Nolan's mother later confirmed she had never heard of and never spoken to, claimed that Nolan had returned from Horn Island alive on July 5th, attended a pool party in Jackson County, was beaten during an altercation, and that his body was subsequently returned to the water. An image appeared alongside the post, uploaded to Instagram by an account with fewer than 1,000 followers, then deleted shortly after, appearing to show Nolan at a pool with a group of people. The image reached hundreds of thousands of viewers within hours. When Benjamin Crump reposted it to his Instagram, the theory hardened into assumed fact for much of the internet. What most people did not read in Crump's caption was that he explicitly stated he did not know whether the claims were facts or rumors, and that his team was following all available leads until the truth was established. The certainty came from the audience, not the attorney. Rolling Stone published its findings on July 13th. Photo metadata, obtained independently from a second source, separate from any single eyewitness account, confirmed the image was taken on June 27th, 8 days before the 4th of July. Not after Horn Island, not on July 5th, 8 days before Nolan ever stepped onto that boat. The party in the photograph took place in Pass Christian, Mississippi. Trayston Shepard, a close friend of Nolan who spoke to both Rolling Stone and ABC News, confirmed the date, identified the people in the image, and explained that the photo was part of a casual collection of recent memories posted online on July 5th. Being uploaded on July 5th and being taken on July 5th are entirely different things. The metadata confirmed the difference. Shepard's response to the theory built around the image was direct. He called it unbelievable. He called it heartbreaking. The image held up as proof that Nolan was alive after Horn Island was taken before he ever went to Horn Island. There was also a video shot from a boat near Horn Island. The footage captured a voice in what sounded like a heated confrontation. Benjamin Crump referenced the recording on Good Morning America, describing it as Nolan arguing with someone and demanding his phone back, and stating he believed the voice belonged to Nolan Wells. The person who was actually speaking in that video came forward to ABC News. It was Trayston Shepard, the same friend who confirmed the pool party photo was from June 27th. On the record, in his own words, Shepard confirmed the voice in the video was his. He had not been arguing with Nolan. He had been in a separate altercation with a stranger, and two friends were physically restraining him at the time. Shepard gave an official statement to the Jackson County Sheriff's Department on a Friday, placing his account formally on record with investigators. This is not online commentary. It is a documented, on-record contradiction between what the family's attorney told the country on national television and what an eyewitness confirmed to both a journalist and law enforcement directly. Both pillars of the viral narrative, the photo and the video, were dismantled by the same person, a close friend of Nolan's, someone who cared about him, someone who took on considerable personal risk to come forward with the truth. Since correcting the record, Shepard has reportedly received death threats. The person who stepped into a national conversation to tell the truth is now being threatened for doing so. Strip away every piece of viral content. Remove the photo, the video, the Facebook post, every theory that circulated online. What remains? A young man was left on a remote island without his phone. His body was found 2 days later and required dental records to identify. The friends who left him did not call for a search during an emergency Coast Guard contact that same night. GPS data documents where the boat went. A witness named Katie, whose account contradicts the friend's version of what happened in those final minutes, has not been heard in full. Multiple witnesses who were present on the island that day have not come forward, according to reporting by Mississippi Today, because they are afraid. The Jackson County Sheriff's Office issued a public appeal asking anyone with photos, video, or first-hand knowledge from Horn Island on July 4th to contact investigators, an acknowledgement that there are accounts the investigation has not yet accessed. All of this was present before the viral narrative began. All of it remains standing after the viral narrative collapsed. On July 15th, Nolan's parents met with the Jackson County District Attorney. A press conference followed, with attorneys Benjamin Crump, Lisa Park, and Eric Hertz present. The family's legal team confirmed what represents the most significant formal development in this case since his body was found. The Nolan Wells case will be presented to a grand jury. According to WALB TV, the district attorney's office will convene that grand jury once the current investigation has concluded. A grand jury is not a conviction. It is not even a charge, but it is the formal mechanism through which a community of citizens reviews evidence to determine whether criminal charges are warranted. This case has crossed that threshold. What began as a death investigation is now moving toward potential criminal proceedings. Sheriff Ledbetter also confirmed publicly that the Jackson County Sheriff's Office has been in contact with the FBI as the investigation continues. Two autopsies are now part of this case. The state of Mississippi performed one the day after Nolan's body was identified. Those results remain pending, awaiting a toxicology report that officials say could still take weeks. No cause and no manner of death have been officially released. CNN confirmed that Nolan's body was separately transported to Washington, D.C. for an independent autopsy conducted by a private pathologist operating entirely outside the state's process. Those independent findings were expected in mid-July. They have been delayed. The family's legal team has committed to releasing them once they become available. Two reports, two sets of findings. When both are in hand, the medical record of what happened to Nolan Wells will either reinforce the official investigation or complicate it significantly. Al Sharpton stood alongside Nolan's parents at a press conference in New York in the days following these developments. His position was carefully measured. He stated that the family was not injecting race into this story, but they were not dismissing it as a factor either. That distinction carries real weight. It is the difference between seeking accountability and demanding a predetermined conclusion. Nolan's parents have maintained that posture consistently throughout. They are not asking the world to decide what happened before the evidence is complete. They are asking for transparency. They are asking for answers. They are asking why their son did not come home. His mother said it plainly. They just want to know what happened and why their baby did not come home. There are investigators working this case right now. There is a grand jury waiting to review the evidence. There is an independent autopsy report that has not yet been released. There are witnesses who have not spoken. There is a young woman named Katie whose full account has not been heard publicly. There is dispatch audio still emerging through public records requests. There is a phone whose contents are under joint review. And there is a state toxicology report that will eventually determine, at least in official terms, how Nolan Wells died. Every single one of those threads is still open. None of them require a viral theory to matter. All of them were sitting in plain sight before the speculation ever began. Nolan Xavier Wells was 18 years old. He deserved to come home from that island. He deserved answers built on what is true, not on what spread fastest, not on what generated the most outrage, but on documented, verified, investigated fact. This case is not over. The grand jury has been called. The FBI is in contact. Two autopsies are pending release. Witnesses are still out there. When the next verified development breaks, unrivaled true crime will be here with it. Subscribe to the channel so you are notified the moment that coverage goes live. Leave a like on this video if the documented version of this story is what you came here for. It is the best way to make sure this reaches the people who are still looking for the truth about Nolan Wells. He deserves that much.